The counter-revolution has been going on since the Panthers were revolutionary and had spearheaded a real revolutionary movement in this country, so much so that I remember I think it was a Harris poll that was taken at the time that noted at least 2 million people, Americans, considered themselves revolutionaries. Okay, that's pretty high. So people were wide awake, but by the time the repression had come down and so many people had been murdered and so blatantly, people scattered and hid, you know, and took cover. And unfortunately, we have not been able to revive the movement since. And when does, the question has to be asked, when does fear turn into cowardice? You know? How long are we going to remain afraid to move against this system the way we should? I don't recommend that we go up against this system with guns. We can't do that today. We can't use the same tactics that we used yesterday today. Different conditions, different laws. It's not legal to walk around with guns. So the bottom line is we do have the creativity and the imagination, at least our young people do, I'm sure. It just takes the will and the clear understanding that if we don't die, at least try. If we don't risk dying fighting, we're going to just die dying, because we are going to be dead. These wars and these domestic policies are genocidal now. They really are. And all you have to do is study what's going on with homelessness today and the healthcare disaster, and you will find that poor people are dying at a very high rate of preventable death. Preventable illness. The Revolutionary War to transform this government, in other words, take out Capitol Hill and replace it with a revolutionary people's government. You know, rewrite the Constitution, not throw the baby out with the bathwater, but rewrite the Constitution to include human rights. We shouldn't even be having a debate over this silly healthcare disaster that they call some kind of a new healthcare breakthrough. It's ridiculous. These bills are ridiculous. They're obscene. They are not a solution. The solution to healthcare can be found in Denmark, Sweden, France, Britain, and Canada. Okay? Take the best one. Okay? Take your pick. Human rights. The right to live in a modern society. Okay, before I get too far off the point, the repression that came down on us was so funky. J. Edgar Hoover labeled the Black Panther Party and practically everyone involved with it, the Rainbow Coalition included, the original Revolutionary Rainbow Coalition, not that Jesse Jackson nonsense. They came down on us by labeling us the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States, which gave a green light to the 41 field offices at the time, combined with all of the local police offices, departments, and all of the police across this country, the green light to, quote unquote, in a document, be alert to have them arrested. And it went on to say on practically anything you can trump up. And J. Edgar Hoover, and this is all documented, actually solicited ideas from the 41 field offices as to what methods could be used to disrupt and neutralize the Black Panther Party, okay? And for example, when we put on, it took us 2 years to organize the Revolutionary People's Constitutional Convention, which has been swept under the rug, except Kathleen Cleaver has documented much of it in her book titled, of essays titled Liberation, Imagination, and the Black Panther Party. I was there, and so was Mumia. We learned that we were there at the same time in Philadelphia, because the Philadelphia Friends, American Friends Service Committee, or the Quakers of Philadelphia, opened up all their facilities to us to put this thing on, and people came from all over the country and the world for 3 days of workshops and plenary sessions, and that was the first opportunity for people to hear Huey speak, because he was fresh out of jail. It was in September, and he had gotten out in August of 1970. So at that convention, we were going to literally rewrite the Constitution. And the FBI had solicited ideas, and J. Edgar Hoover had actually considered one idea, which was to poison the food at the convention. Not enough to kill everybody, but enough to make everybody sick and blame it on the Black Panther Party. And the only reason that Hoover gave for not accepting the idea, he thought it was a good idea, but there would be problems in transporting the food. I'll never forget that, since I was there, and I would have been one of the victims. And then there were, of course, by 1969, 28 Panthers had been murdered, the most blatant of which was the murder of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark on December 4th, coming up, 1969. The 40th anniversary is coming up, and there's a book out now, The Assassination of Chairman Fred Hampton, that's fresh out. So the bottom line is that we lost that battle. The Panthers lost it, and the counter-revolution was instituted big time. Their strategies and tactics against us were illegal. The wiretapping, I myself was a plaintiff in a wiretap lawsuit that was settled out of court, and I wound up with about $16,000 altogether from the cases that were brought against the New England Telephone Company, the City of New Haven, and the chief of police at the time, Ahern brothers, and his brother. So it turns out I was one of their strongest cases, because I was wiretapped at home and in the office, because my pad was a Panther pad, and the office was a Panther, almost a second Panther headquarters, okay? So the bottom line is they attacked us unmercifully. They murdered us, and they jailed us on anything they could find. Some of us are still in jail. Plenty of us are still in jail, actually, and we don't have the time to name all the names. Sundiata Acoli is one of the most egregious, because he was one of the New York 21 that got acquitted, and then they just stayed on him, and they killed our comrade Zaid Shakur, whom I knew as well, in New York Panther. At the same time, they shot Assata Shakur and jailed her, and Sundiata Acoli was in the car. Of course, he got away, but it was recaptured, and they just can't punish him enough either. But he's in a New York prison and on a main line, so he's not as in the dire circumstances as some of the others, but he's still been in prison an awfully long time, and he's 73. People need to go to the website. There's a website, Sundiata Acoli website, that they can find out how to sign a petition or write to the warden. He comes up in February 2010 for parole, so it's very important for people. And benefits are going on in New York now to raise funds and money, and to try to, galvanize a campaign to get them to release him. But so the struggle is a protracted one. The counter-revolution is on. We've seen an escalation in the brutality. We've seen them build a prison boom that was ushered in by Bill Clinton, who gave the green light for the prison boom, because he subsidized the states. He promised the states, we'll give you all the money you need to build all the prisons you want, basically. We will subsidize them. We will finance them. If you build them, we'll finance them. So the states just went nuts. California just went crazy. You know, and California now spends $10 billion a year on prisons, and they're overcharging students in public institutions, and firing teachers and cutting school budgets, and it costs $49,000 a year now in California to house a prisoner, and that amount triples for somebody like Yogi, who's elderly and in security housing. The priorities in America have nothing to do with humanity and all to do with hard currency, money.